Thanks so much to all my patrons. Join now to help support the channel and help pick the books that I review. Link in the description. All right, so it is the first of the month, and that means it's time to talk about my March to be read list, or otherwise called my March TBR. But before we go into the books, let's talk about the February TBR contest. So each month I run this contest where you predict how I will score all the books that I'll read in the upcoming month, because I have OCD and I have to plan out my reading, otherwise I go crazy. The top 3 spots are winners, and the winners are highlighted in my TBR video. And if you win twice, you get to pick a book for me to read and review. And we've had well over a dozen people that have won twice so far and gotten to pick books for me. Last month, we had 286 contestants, and I hope that you join this month. Click the link in the description to officially submit your picks, and join the Discord to follow along with updates after each book. So, the TBR winner for the gold medal was Nick WF, who got 6 out of 9 correct and only missed 6 total points. And what I mean by total points is that if you guessed like a 5-star and I gave it a 4-star, you're only off by 1, so that's 1 missed point, and that's it's one of the tiebreakers. And so he only missed 6 total points. The silver medal went to Weeby, who got 5 out of 9 correct and missed also 6 total points. And the bronze went to the T-Soul, who also got 5 out of 9 correct and also missed 6 total points, but had a lower tiebreaker score. There's another tiebreaker where you guess the average that I would score all the books that month. The book that the most people got right was my 4-star rating of The White Tower by Michael Weishart, and that was 143 people got that right, which is 50%. And the book most people got wrong was my 3-star rating of The Trials of Empire by Richard Swan, and only 20 people got that right, which is about 7%. The worst score, as always, was 0 right, and that was scored by 15 people, and the average score was 2.33 out of 9. Now, let's go into the books that I will be reading this month, and pay close attention to my thoughts, because I can give you a little bit of a tip on what I'm thinking beforehand. So, The Eye of the Bedlam Bride. This is part of the Dungeon Crawler Carl series. I think it's book number 5, maybe number 6. Number 5? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5? I don't know. It's one of those. And this is by Matt Dinniman. I'm doing this on audiobook, and I am actually already done with this. So the past month, I flew through my reads, and I had not asked a question about this one because I didn't anticipate being done with it. I should have. So I'm not telling anybody what I think about this one. What I predicted before I started it is that I would rank it 4 stars out of 5. And I did this because it feels like, even though I gave the last book a 5 out of 5, it feels like we're going in this rhythm where I love a book and then I'm like, so-so on one. Love it, so-so, love it. And now we're at the so-so. And so let's hope this finally breaks the mold and that I give this a 5 out of 5. But yeah, I don't know what it is. I'm sure it's just coincidence. I mean, there's not enough data points to make this a consistent thing, nor would it really make a lot of sense. I do feel like Dinniman really hit his stride in the last book, though, the one before this. I forget the name of it. They all have really funky names. But it feels like he got it figured out, his style. And it took a lot of warming up to it, but now it's like all coming down. And assuming that's the same kind of thing, maybe it'll be higher. But yeah, we'll see. The next up is A Darkness at Sethanon. This is part of the Rift War Saga series by Raymond D. Feist. It is the final book in the Rift War Saga, which is like a trilogy, but it's 4 books, because the first book was split up into 2 when originally it wasn't, or it was split up and then it got merged. I don't know, but something involving that. There's a larger Rift World cycle, which is a ton of books, some of them co-written. One of the series, which is really well known, was co-written by Janie Wirtz. But I'm doing this in book format. It's 481 pages. I'm guessing 4 out of 5 stars. And also, I'm done with this one. So I just flew. This was a physical book that I went too fast on. My physical reads and my audiobook for the Dungeon Crawler Carl, I went too fast. But I predicted 4 out of 5. 4 out of 5, I think, is what I gave the previous book, Silverthorn, which I thought had some good parts. It was saved in the latter half of it. I felt the first half was pretty dull. And it went in a weird direction that I wasn't really wanting it to go. It felt like the first 2 books were so amazing and filled out this little arc. And now, because the story basically got told in the first 2, now we're kind of switching directions and telling a different story. It just feels like they're almost different series with a lot of the same characters. It's very odd. I am interested to see how the series ends, though, and I typically do give higher scores to endings. So we'll see. Next up is A Little Hatred. This is the first book in the second First Law trilogy. The Age of Madness by Joe Abercrombie. I'm doing this in audiobooks, like I do all the Abercrombie books, because Stephen Pacey is the best audiobook narrator I've ever listened to. I should finish this up about March 6th. It's 480 pages, and I'm predicting 5 stars. This will be the second time that I read this book. The first time that I read it, I gave it 5 out of 5 stars. Just loved it. And I read it pretty back to back. I read the whole series, back to back to back to back. The only one I didn't read was the final book in this one because it wasn't out yet when I did that. But I just felt like it had so much of what I loved about the initial trilogy and brought it back. I wasn't super high on the standalones the first time I read them. So I think I was just like hungry to come back. Now I'm wondering how I feel having redone this and really loved the standalones. Maybe I'm going to go reverse and kind of think less on this. I can't imagine that I'm going to like this worse than a 4 out of 5. But we'll see. But I'm hoping I like it even more and that it's my favorite one of the bunch. We'll see. But I'm really looking forward to getting back with the characters that were the focus of this second trilogy. Next up is Empire of the Damned. This is the second book in the Empire of the Vampire series by Jay Kristoff. Should finish this up around March 12th. I'm doing this in book format. Should finish it on the 12th. It's 709 pages, and I'm predicting 5 stars. Now, I gave the first book 5 out of 5. I'm hoping, I have no reason not to believe the second one will be. I do have some trepidation in that I read Jay Kristoff's other series. Is it Nevernight? And I hated it. Just absolutely hated it. And so I'm hoping that that he got better as an author and grew out of that Nevernight stage, but maybe that's just who he is, and I got something different in that was out of the blue in Empire of the Vampire. So I think I was more hyped about this second book before I read that other book of his, but I'm looking forward to it. It's so unique, a wonderful take on vampires. My favorite vampires in all literature, all media, were in this first book. Let's hope for more of the same. Unfortunately, I have to read this in literal book format, like a real book. I hate reading real books. I love ebooks. I became addicted to them, and now when I have to go to a physical book, I just loathe it. But I got a advanced copy of the book from the publisher, which thank you. That's very nice of you. But man, could you just send me a digital file? It would have been so much easier. I guess you can pirate those, and that's probably why they don't do it. But it'd be cheaper for them to send me a digital file, and I'd much prefer it. So I'm hoping reading this on physical doesn't make me think more negatively on the book, but I can't imagine that it will. Next up after that is Age of Ash. This is the first book in the 𝐓𝐿 series by Daniel Abraham. Daniel Abraham is half of the duo that wrote The Expanse. Doing this in audiobook. Should finish this up around March 11th. It's 448 pages. I'm guessing 3 stars. Now, it's weird for me to guess that I'm going to rate a book 3 stars for a book that I'm willingly reading. This isn't like one of the raffle books that I'm forced to read or somebody else picked it for me. I'm choosing to do this. So why? Well, I do like Daniel Abraham. I liked the writing in The Expanse. I didn't finish The Expanse because I never got over the top about it for a long series, but I did like it. But I also need more audiobooks. Now, so many of the books that I read don't work in audiobook format for me. I need to focus on these big epic fantasies with a lot of characters and different points of view. It's hard for me to listen to them in audiobook. I just kind of get a little lost. I need them to be a little more straightforward. So I remember a while back I put out a question to people saying, what are the great audiobooks? The ones that are just as good, if not better, in audiobook. And this is one of the ones that came up about being a little more streamlined and easier to read. Now, the reviews aren't great. Some people I know didn't love it. And the average score of it is much lower than I'm used to on Amazon and Goodreads, which isn't tell the whole story, but it certainly tells some. So we'll see. I don't know anything about it other than what I've said. So we'll see, but I'm guessing 3. Next up is Quicksilver. This is the first book in the Baroque Cycle series by Neal Stephenson. This was picked for me in the Patreon raffle. One of the oldest books in the raffle that was there since pretty much the beginning of my Patreon. So happy that's finally won. I'm doing this in book format. Should finish this up around March 18th. It is a lofty 927 pages, and I'm also guessing 3 stars. When I released the video of me spinning the wheel, I got a lot of comments from people that I know, that know my style, that said, Matt, you're not going to like this book. I hope it's not. The very brief stuff I read about it, and I read almost nothing, but it's got this historical stuff to it, and I think I got that right. And I like that kind of thing in general, We'll see, but I don't know anything about it. And I hear Neal Stephenson's actually like a kind of big writer. Does he write science fiction? I don't know anything. I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm reading it. We'll see what I get, but 3 stars is my guess. Next up is The Ice. This is part of the Bound and the Broken series by Ryan Cahill. This was the Patreon vote. So on Patreon, I put in 5 books every month that I want to read, but are lower on my TBR list. And whatever one gets the most votes, I shoot it up to the top. I'm doing this in book format. Should finish this up around March 20th. It is very small, 206 pages. It's a novella, and I'm guessing 4 out of 5 stars, which is the score that I pretty much predict all of the novellas are going to be, because it's very rare for me to give 5 stars to a novella. Now, it is possible for me to do that. In fact, I gave one of the Bound and the Broken novellas 5 stars, because the way that Ryan Cahill does it is he does book, novella, book, novella, book, novella. And I think this is the 6th book now. I think I got that math right. But, I mean, honestly, with the last one being so high and me loving the Bound and the Broken so much, I don't know why I'm guessing 4. I think it's just because I'm so knee-jerk about constantly doing that. I'm also rather intrigued about the topic of this, because in my when I was reading, I do it on a note-taking Kobo. And one of the things I wrote down, I write these like lingering questions I have. And one of the questions was about the topic of this book. I was like, where did that dragon egg come from? How did that happen? What's the backstory there? And I get a whole book about that backstory. So clearly Cahill knew that people would be asking this question themselves and decided to answer that question. I think that's what it's about. I don't know. I don't research books a lot before I read them, but we'll see. But I'm guessing 4 out of 5. Next up is Warbreaker. This is by some guy named Brandon Sanderson. I'm doing this as my buddy read for the month on Discord. So if you want to get in on the buddy read on this book, come join. We're starting it up March 12th. I'm doing this on audiobook. Should finish this up around March 22nd. It is 688 pages, and I'm guessing 4.5 out of 5. I ranked it 4.5 the first time I read it. And now it seems like a fair guess that I'll like it about the same. But knowing me, I'll probably give it a 4 or a 5. My opinions change over time on pretty much everything. I am also going to be doing this. I don't know if you saw the video I did for Fourth Wing, where my wife and a friend of ours participated in doing the review with me. They are both committing to read this book and to come back to read one of my books that I like. So we kind of flip it, where I read a book they like, now they're going to read a book I like. But I'm very much looking forward to it. I have such positive memories of this book, even though it was one of the earlier Sanderson books I've read, and I've read a lot of Sanderson since then, so maybe my opinions will change, but we'll see. But I'm so looking forward to it, and the ending is just, can't wait to read that again. Then is Traitor's Blade. This is part of the Greatcoats series by Sebastian de Castell. I'm doing this in audiobook. Should finish this up around March 26th. It's only 300 pages, and I'm guessing 4 out of 5 stars. I'm going to spend very little time talking about this, because pretty much everything that you heard me say back when we were talking about the 𝐓𝐿 𝐬𝐻 book is this one. People said it's decent on audiobook. I'm taking their word for it. I need more audiobooks to listen to. That's why. Let's guess 4 out of 5. And the final book, one that I'm not exactly sure I'm going to be able to get to, because I'm supposed to finish it like right at the end of the month on the 30th, but this is Young Miles. This is part of the 𝐓𝐁𝐑 saga. I think you just say things with confidence. People will believe you. This is by Lois McMaster Bujold, another name I probably don't know how to say. Doing this in book format, and it's pretty lengthy, 827 pages. It's long because this is an omnibus of several of the stories put together. And I don't know much about this. I know that it's a classic sci-fi kind of fantasy blend that crosses multiple different genres. I know this is the second omnibus, but people say that this is it's better to read the second one first for whatever reason. I know Christopher Rocchio actually said that, and he's a smart guy. I trust him. This was picked by somebody who won the TBR contest twice. So this is what they picked. I got to read it, and we're going for it. But I'm guessing 3 out of 5 stars based on what little I know about it. But hopefully I'm wrong. So those are all the books. Get your picks in. Click the link down below. Love to have you participate. Come join the Discord so we can chat about them and see your scores update throughout the month. So that's it for me. Thank you so much for watching. And as always, happy reading to you. Thanks again to all my patrons, with a special shout out to my Ascendant tier and Librarian tier patrons: Anna G, CJ, Doust, Darren, Gregory, JD, Jonathan, Nathan T, Nev's Book Channel, Orthodoxia, Ron Reich, Russell, Ryan L, Sydney Baker, Tay C, Tahir, Anna, Andra, Blair, Brock, Evan, Harry B, Joe UK, Kat Mick, Michael Sugarman, Philippe, Sky, Wacky, and Zion. Thanks for sticking to the end of this video, and if you want to watch some more content from my channel, click over here and I've got some good videos for you. Thanks so much.